Evening, ladies and gentlemen, or good night, or good morning, wherever you are. This is Nara Promotion, Real Podcast Show. Always pray going out, pray coming in, and always remember, God is in control. Every time, ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, people saying, welcome back to the show. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. Welcome, wherever you are, wherever you hear this from. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got a packed show for you tonight. And as usual, we always say, you gotta pray. So let's bring a prayer on the screen right now. And let's pray. Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna have a prayer.
Before the sun rises again, show this your people favor. Let their day of glory begin. In all their lives, anything called shame, remove completely. Let there be no more sorrow. No more failure. No more defeat. No more barrenness. No more stagnation. No more regrets. Please, Lord, before the sun rises, the evidence that you have visited your people, make it known. Before
Amen, and amen, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful thing. I'm telling you. I'm going to give you some inspiration right now. It's a beautiful thing. So let's jump into the inspiration. Here we go. Hear that with you immediately. So, ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell so others know that we're here, or whenever we're coming on live to you. It's always great to share. There's always great information here. We always share great information. So this is 11 things people learn too late in life. So check it out. It's very interesting. And I hope you learn something from it. Here we go.
11 things people learn too late in life. 1, the less you say, the more your words will matter. 2, don't take everything personally. Not everyone thinks about you as much as you do. 3, when you focus on problems, you'll have more problems. When you focus on possibilities, you'll have more opportunities. 4, no matter how much it hurts now, someday you will look back and realize your struggle changed your life for the better. 5, you meet people for a reason. Either you need them to change your life, or you're the one that will change theirs. 6, never be afraid to try something new. Life gets boring when you stay within the limits of what you already know. 7, you will never truly know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. 8, once you begin to take note of the things you are grateful for, you begin to lose sight of the things that you lack. 9, if you do not have control over your mouth, you do not have control over your future. 10, life is a mirror and will reflect back to the thinker what he thinks in. 11 things.
So, ladies and gentlemen, the 11th thing, I want you to guess what that one is. Goodness gracious me. It's a beautiful thing. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Amazing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, you can also donate to the show, to keep this family-friendly show alive. You can donate whatever you can. And down below, you'll see how you can donate to the show to keep the show alive. So it's a beautiful thing. Thank you everyone for being here. Like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell. I'm telling you. So we have some people commenting. 67. Mingy 23. Say 67, 67, 67. Okay. Speak up, damn. Goodness gracious me. So, welcome to the show, each and every one of you. And we say thank you for being here. Please like, share, subscribe. Hello, Mingy23. We're here. Bless you. And thank you for being a part of the show. Oh, yeah. It's a beautiful thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, and this is another comment, Roman de Matteo. Welcome to the show as well. It's a beautiful thing. Oh, yeah. Welcome. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell, and share it with others so they know that when the show is coming on. And we say welcome to everyone around the world, especially in Europe, Africa, Canada, United States, the Caribbean, all around South America, Central America, everywhere in the world, wherever you're hailing from, in Africa, wherever you are. Thank you for your comments. Please comment. You can comment at any time, and we will address those comments as they come in. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a packed show for you tonight. And first, we're going to start with the Naram anthem. As you know, we always do. Goodness gracious me, it's a beautiful thing. So let's share that with you immediately, and then we'll dive into the show as we normally do. So remember, like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell. Please do, so we can keep this show growing and keep this show alive. So here we go. So let's get into it. Here we go. So let's bring that on the show right now. That's Kane Walker. You know how it is. Every show he's on, and he gives you as it is. So here we go. Listen up to the anthem. Here we go.
No, I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective.
Goodness gracious.
Against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the
goodness gracious me. Welcome to the show. And we've got one of our listeners and viewers from China right now, and we want to hail up our China audience and the Chinese audience, that is. So Mingy 23 said, I'm from China. Welcome to the show. Like, share, subscribe. Welcome. We're here. That's a beautiful thing. So, ladies and gentlemen, there is a countdown going on right here in the United States. A countdown going on, and I'm not sure if you are aware of that countdown. And I want you to bring that to you, that there's a live countdown going on, and let me show you what's going on here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me share that with you. If you weren't aware, I'm going to bring it up to you right now so you can also count down to what's going on. So here we go. Let me share that with you. This is the countdown. Let's go. If you didn't know, you know now. So let's see it. Here we go. Add that to the stage. And it's a countdown to America's 250th anniversary. There's 154 days 20 hours, 49 minutes, and the seconds are counting down, and it's going on 48, 47. So the countdown has officially begun from January 1st, and this year is America's 250th anniversary. So I'll be coming to you live, more than likely from the capital, Washington, D.C., and it's gonna be spectacular, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna do my best to cover it for you, so you can see what's going on here in the United States. It's a beautiful thing. America will become 250 years old. That's a beautiful thing. And we have President Donald Trump, who will be leading the charge on the 250th anniversary of the United States. What a beautiful thing. So just remember, the countdown has begun. So get yourself in line if you want to come and celebrate. This is the right time to start your travel plans, because it's going to be amazing. I tell you. So here we go. We're going to touch into some U.S. politics, some things that have been going on around the internet. And I must implore my audience, and though you can, also spread the word amongst others, that you got to do your research. There's so much news swirling around the internet and around media spaces, and also on all different social medias and so on. But as certain news pops up, people run with it without first doing their due diligence and checking the source, checking that things are authentic. It's causing a problem and a frenzy, and it's causing a lot of people to become nervous and also worried. They're stressed out because the news keeps flying. And when it comes down to certain immigration issues, legal issues, and so on, you got to go to the source. Check it out. Don't allow yourself to be carried away or to be fooled at any time during, when you're looking at social media. So first of all, I wanted to touch into U.S. politics, and this is Professor Nez. I wanted to touch on Professor Nez for a moment, and he is talking about Alex Petty, it's been breaking in the internet, and it's become political. So therefore, we want to address that with Professor Nez right now. So what if you've heard that he was on a live in Minnesota? I think it was Minnesota or some state out there, but we will bring that to you in a short order. Let me get certain things off my screen here so I can bring it to you live. So here, yeah, there we go. So we're going to bring that to you so you can have an idea of what's going on out there. So here we go. Professor Nez is going to talk about it briefly, and then I'm going to play another video on that, debunking certain things. And here we go. Let's bring Professor Nez up, and he will be addressing that right now.
This is live breaking news, everybody. I just came across a brand new video that has been unearthed. It's from a couple of weeks ago, showing the leftist activist agitator who brought a firearm and two, not one, but two loaded magazines to, what did the left say? To peacefully protest. Because that's what you do when you want to peacefully protest. You bring full armored weaponry. That's what you do. And they've made him a martyr. Now, if I would highly recommend, I'm going to show you this video, but if you missed the video where we had the country's top self-defense legal expert who broke down the entire video step by step, go watch that video too. I'll leave it in the pinned comment. I'll also leave it in the description down below. You gotta go check that out, because it literally, it pains me to see our law enforcement officers. It pains me to see these celebrity actors who I used to actually like. Edward Norton now saying there needs to be an economic shutdown. De Niro's been in a bunch of my favorite films. Springsteen, I liked Nebraska. It was a great album. I'm never listening to another bar that you ever produce or have produced ever again, especially after this POS Springsteen just wrote a brand new anti-ICE song. This is the guy who's supposed to be born in the USA, all-American, middle-class hero, the boss, just wrote an anti-ICE song. And now, without knowing anything, and you've got the WNBA and the NBA, these entitled millionaires, a moment of silence for this creep who attacked law enforcement officers. They go spreading lies about our hardworking law enforcement officers who are risking their lives, jeopardizing their families, getting doxxed. Attacks on them are up 18,000%. And you millionaires, you entitled, lucky, you should be thanking you lucky your stars, millionaire trillionaires. All you do is play a child's game, and you're defaming our law enforcement officers. I'm going to show you that and a whole lot more. This ridiculous, crazy DA in Philadelphia talking about, going like this is the Nuremberg trials, which is nuts. But look at what E. Jean Carroll.
BlackRock and its CEO Larry Fink control $10.6 trillion in assets. And what
Let's get back to regular programming. Here we go.
Just posted. This is what they're doing. This is what E. Jean Carroll just posted. Friday, national shutdown. No work, no school, no shopping. What, excuse me. Why are you doing this again? Because we don't like when criminals, are taken off the streets. We like criminals. We like crime. We like our cities in turmoil and bedlam. We like fires. We like buildings burning down. We like criminals running free, committing heinous acts on boys and girls just trying to go to school and people just trying to follow the law. That's what we like. Excuse me. So you want to shut down the entire country over criminals, illegals, who have committed, these are like some of the worst of the worst. These are people who have done things to children. These are people who have done things, the most heinous scum of the earth. That's why you're doing this? Yeah, and also we want to prop up Renee Good. We're doing this for Renee Good and Alex Pretty. Well, why Renee Good? Because she was simply trying to wave people, and she was simply trying to get a. Well, no. Did you know that the officer who's just doing his job, who's making sure that our American streets are clean and safe, he went to the hospital because of internal bleeding? No, but that wasn't because. What was that because of? He was trying to get her out of the scene. He was trying to record to make sure that she can't get away with this again. All new evidence came out. She tried to block traffic for 45 minutes. She was dancing in her car, and then she tried to run over a law enforcement officer. That's why you want to shut down the country? Well, also, what about Alex Pretty? Well, Alex Pretty had a firearm on him. Alex Pretty injected himself, interfered with law enforcement officers. These guys shouldn't be anywhere near. Alex Pretty was violent, shoving, pushing ICE agents. And this new video that just got unearthed is going to dispel all the notions that these two are heroes at all. Okay, maybe I'll think about it. Shut up and sit down. Okay, before I show the Alex Pretty video, and I'm kind of delaying this on purpose, and I'll tell you why. I'm just going to be completely transparent, because they will take this video down if I show anything that's even resembling a hint of violence or anything. But I want to show the whole video. I want to show it transparently, so I have to wait a little bit. So I have a couple of things I want to share with you really fast. I promise you it's going to be worth it. Just stick around. So one of my heroes is a Gen Xer, Molly Ringwald. She sides with criminals. She was in 16 Candles, Pretty in Pink, Breakfast Club. I mean, tons of movies I grew up watching. If you're a Gen Xer, let me know in the comments down below. You're not going to believe what she just posted. Watch.
I don't spend a lot of time doing this, talking to you like this, unless I'm, I don't know, recommending a foundation or telling you to get your kids vaccinated against meningitis. But I feel like I can't stay silent, and neither should you. There's something horrible going on in our country right now. And we have one of the greatest countries in the world. And I've always been so proud to be an American. But right now, this is a fascist government. It's not becoming a fascist government. It is a fascist government.
I can't play anymore. It's like 5 minutes long. I can't play it. It's absolutely deranged. We have a Holly weirdo cult cabal worshiping demon culture in Holly weirdo that has been inflicted with maybe the worst case of TDS I've ever seen. Glenn Close. These are all actors I mean, do you guys have a single molecule of critical thought in your entire anatomy? Do you at least say, you know what, instead of just watching MS, I feel like they literally have a tube that just gets injected into their forehead, and MSNBC and CNN are just, pumping them full of just pure toxic porridge. Like, I just don't get it. You don't look at both sides. Like, this is what critical thinking is. You look at both sides. Okay, these guys are doing this. These guys are doing this. These guys are saying this. These guys are saying this. You look at everything from both sides, and then you critically look at it objectively, and you come up with some kind of summation that makes sense. You're not always going to be right. You're not always going to be on point, but you're going to come a lot closer than just like, look, it's always in the eyes. I've never seen, I don't do this unless, and she happens to throw in, I do foundations and charities. You're such a vile, empty, vapid. But you know what? I have to play this too. Before I show the pretty video, I have to play this too. Not all of Holly Weirdo has lost their mind. Nicki Minaj is pretty badass, and she just stunned all of her haters by saying this at the Trump account's press conference today. Watch.
Well, I don't know what to say, but I will say that I am probably the president's #1 fan. And that's not going to change. And the hate or what people have to say, it does not affect me at all. It actually motivates me to support him more. And it's going to motivate all of us to support him more. We're not going to let them get away with bullying him and, the smear campaigns. It's not going to work. Okay? He has a lot of force behind him, and God is protecting him. Amen.
If you have one of these,
so let's get
your home's ready
back
for an
to
upgrade.
the regular programming. Here we go.
You know how you can tell somebody who's not a radical leftist lunatic, somebody who's successful, somebody who has a job, somebody who loves their country, somebody who believes in God, somebody who follows the law? I've said this many, many times. I'm not right or left. I love America. I'm just a normal dude who loves his country, who's trying to raise his family, who understand, very cognizant that I live in the greatest country man has ever known. If I had to identify myself, I'd say I'm probably a constitutional centrist, if anything, even though I don't like labels. But I should say this. I'm not right, but I'm definitely not left. So I'm more like in the middle ground. But nowadays, middle ground is considered a right-wing nut job. You believe in God, you're considered a right-wing nut job. You believe in, our daughters and mothers not getting violated in gyms, locker rooms, and bathrooms, you're considered a right-wing nut job. You believe in the best person for the job and not DEI racism, you're considered a right-wing nut job. It makes no sense. How did everything get so topsy-turvy? Well, we have a lot of hypotheses on that, but I want to get to the video. Okay, here, this is a good point to do it, to where hopefully the video won't get taken down. Are you ready, Freddie? Drop a here in the comments too. Let me know that it's still up. Just say here. And ladies and gentlemen, here is the new footage. Holy macadamia nut. This is the new footage showing Alex Pretty. I give full credit to the news media. Watch him as he's attacking and spitting on federal agents in Minneapolis. This was just last week. Watch.
This is a moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Pretty interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground. During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. They continued to hold the man down before they retreat, and he walks away. The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Preddy was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband. Here, he continues to stand at the scene. On the day he was killed, the Department of Homeland Security claims Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, approached officers holding a handgun. That claim has been contradicted by analysis of bystander videos from multiple news investigations, which concluded that Preddy was holding a phone, not a gun, when he was pinned to the street.
So he had his gun last week and weeks ago. How many times? God knows. There's also, and I can't confirm this or really deny it, there's also reports that Preddy was a real active member of these threads, these signal chats, which what was their sole purpose? To identify where ICE was, to go after them, to violently, abrasively, aggressively interject yourself and try to stop them. And what are they trying to stop them from doing? They're trying to stop them from ridding our country of the criminal illegals who are led into this country by the vegetable in chief Joe Biden and the worst DEI political pick of all time, the fake borders are Kamala, the Ugandan Harris.
Ladies and gentlemen, do your due diligence. I'm going to play another video by Benny Johnson, and this video will shed some more light on what's been going on in terms of the Alex Preddy situation. This is active and it's going on, so you can always do your due diligence. But you must always check your sources, do your research, and here we go. Let me bring this Benny Johnson video up to you so you can understand where I'm coming from. Here we go.
Is a lie, including what he looks like. This is Alex Preddy.
So hold on.
Everything the media has told you about Alex Preddy is a lie, including what he looks like. This is Alex Preddy, who brought a loaded Sig Sauer P320 to a physical altercation with federal officers this week. He resisted arrest and fought those officers and lost his life. Now, every American life lost is a tragedy, whether it's gunfire or fentanyl. But what's also a tragedy is when the media lies about these deaths in order to manipulate us, and that is precisely what they are doing with Alex Preddy. They have manipulated his actual photo into this. This is an AI-generated fake person that the media is telling you lost his life tragically in Minneapolis this week. Watch.
The nonviolent bystander by ICE agents in Minneapolis. This time it was 37-year-old Alex Preddy.
That's not a real person. This is an MSNBC broadcast that was seen by millions of people. I can't believe that they did this. They actually changed the image in order to try and create further sympathy, primarily among their female audience. They know this. It's psychological warfare. MSNBC is disgusting for doing this. Imagine if you die for your cause and then somebody at MSNBC decides you're too ugly to be a martyr. We see you, MSNBC. We know what you're doing. You did the exact same thing to Joe Rogan. Just a reminder, Joe Rogan didn't look sick enough in his COVID video, and Alex Preddy wasn't pretty enough. They're also not telling the full story about who Alex Preddy was. They want you to think that he's simply an innocent nurse who was caught in the crossfire, but that's not true. He was actually a professional agitator who was hunting down ICE agents and actually had broken a rib in a confrontation with federal agents a week before. Alex Preddy spent his time hunting down ICE agents. Listen to this.
In this earlier incident, he stopped his car after observing ICE agents chasing what he described as a family on foot and began shouting and blowing his whistle. Preddy later told one of these sources that 5 agents tackled him and one leaned on his back, appearing to leave him with a broken rib.
So if you're doing this, you're not an innocent bystander. Alex Preddy was a soldier, not a civilian. Civilians don't break a rib at a physical confrontation with police and then show up and do it again the next week armed. This was somebody who was a paid left-wing agitator and activist, somebody who was working in a coordinated fashion to try and disrupt federal officers and was known to federal officers for physical confrontations. It's still a tragedy, but you need to hear the full story. This is who Alex Preddy actually was. Everything the media told you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, do your due diligence. This is an active story, and you should check it out. You need to know both sides. I've been looking at both sides, and you need to know the full truth. So here, this is the other side of what's been said. A lot of people sympathize. I sympathize with his passing, and I sympathize with his family. But he, Alex Preddy, put himself in that position when there is an active search and operation going on with ICE. You got to get out the way. Those are federal officers. They're keeping law and order in all states. So the president told you at the beginning of his term, this is going to be law and order. So you don't fight these cases in the court of public opinion. You take it to the high courts and let the judges decide. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's Alex Preddy's story. We're going to move off from that. But there's another story that was circulating, and there's some people making some derogatory comments. I'm not going to post them up here. I'm not going to respond to you. You can keep those comments to yourself. If you continue, then I'll block you. That's how it is. So we're objective here. We look at both sides, and we keep it family friendly as well. So on Truth Social, there was a posting there about Ilhan Omar, and if you know Ilhan Omar, you know who I'm talking about. And there was this posting, and I'm going to share that with you, so you can see a different side to that altercation that happened recently. So let me share that with you and read what was said here and was posted on Truth Social. Here we go. So let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. So it says, when you forgot you pose for a picture with the guy that you paid to assault you with a mystery liquid, then didn't go to the hospital, didn't change your clothes, made no effort to remove the mystery liquid, then hugged people at the end of your town hall with the mystery liquid. So you can do your research on that. I just thought it was interesting to post that. It came up on Truth Social. You can check it out for yourselves. All right. So that's another side of another story. So I'm going to also call on attorney Andrew Branca to bring you some information regarding, let's see, Minnesota's signal gate. If you notice in the Alex Preddy video from Professor Nez and also Benny Johnson, they were talking about something about signal gate. So let's see what's going on here with attorney Andrew Branca, and Let's go. Let's check this out. Here we go. I think we got it. Where is it? All right, got it. We're going to bring it to the screen, and then you'll be the judge of what's going on here. But this attorney was on point. Here we go. Let's hear what he has to say.
Almost a minute of scrolling here through the South Side Minneapolis Rapid Response ICE Chaser signal group. You can see them actively checking plates, calling intersections, calling out chase agents. This is organized obstruction of federal law enforcement. It's a conspiracy to impede federal law enforcement. To remind everybody, when you're engaged in a conspiracy, everybody involved in the conspiracy is responsible for the foreseeable consequences of the conspiracy. Everyone involved is now engaged in federal felony, impeding a federal law enforcement in good for 8 years. And maybe much worse, maybe they're responsible for the death of Alex Pretty. One of the reports here is that the lieutenant governor herself, Peggy Flanagan, a far left progressive fascist, big supporter of trans rights, whatever that is a dispatch administrator, an authoritative figure, not just like an observer on the Signals chat. She's a boss. Signalgate, Minnesota Lieutenant Governor involvement. Flan, her name is Flanagan. Flan has been exposed. Look at this communication. Why would we be in trouble? Relax, says one of these insurrectionists. Another one responds, the Signal platform is not secure. It's been breached, Cam Higbee. I worked in communications. Once they figured out where we were, it's only a matter of time. Flan herself, the boss, has been exposed. We're all effed. I need to leave this state. You think that's going to be far enough for Trump not to find you? I need to leave this state. Uh-oh. Should I leave too? Maybe best to get out of the country entirely. By the way, flight from a crime is traditionally what we refer to as consciousness of guilt evidence. Evidence that not only would a prosecutor think what you're doing is unlawful, you think what you're doing is unlawful, and you don't want to be captured and held accountable. Consciousness of guilt evidence can result in a consciousness of guilt instruction to the jury, where the jury's told exactly that. Not only you are allowed to infer from this evidence of flight, if you believe it's been proven beyond a reasonable doubt, that not only does the prosecutor think this defendant is guilty, the defendant thinks the defendant is guilty. How damaging do you think that is in a trial? Robbie Starbuck here notes, if Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan was actually in the Signal group coordinating operations to impede ICE, then this is a full-blown insurrection at the direction of the state of Minnesota. If she was not involved in any way, then she should say so, but the feds need to investigate this now. Yes, and again, I'm reporting others. This is her, Minnesota. This is what happens when we allow our elections to be stolen. I don't think any of these people are legitimately elected. I think they just managed to co-opt the election mechanism. Minnesota Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, protect trans kids, with a knife on her t-shirt. And of course, it's the whole corrupt, progressive fascist Democrat network, up and down the scales. Tim Walz, campaign strategist, Amanda Kohler was in the Signal chats, coordinating the doxing and harassment of ICE agents. And Libs of TikTok very carefully puts a question mark because we don't know if this is true, but it's being reported. It's easy enough for people to say, I'm not in that chat. I can assure you, Attorney Andrew Branca is not in the Signals chat for the ICE attackers. This is an interesting point. Now, Chad Mizell, former chief of staff of the Trump administration, he writes, if this is true, that Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan is in the Signal chat, can be tied to the Pretty shooting, she's in a lot of trouble. Let me spell it out, he says. If you're involved in a conspiracy here interfering with ICE operations and someone dies as part of that conspiracy, even if the deceased is a co-conspirator, all participants in the conspiracy can be charged with murder. Lieutenant Governor Flanagan better lawyer up. She may have some federal agents who want to talk to her. If you don't know what Signals is, it's an online, supposedly secure communication system, encrypted communication system, where people can communicate with each other in an organized fashion. And apparently, the pro-invader paramilitary forces in sedition against our federal government in Minneapolis and elsewhere around the country have been using this communications platform to coordinate their attacks on ICE. And not just coordinate at the attacker level. Left-wing journalists are part of this communication. State-level officials are part of this communication. People running for state office in Minnesota are part of this communications network. Alex Pretty, shot dead by ICE just a few days ago, was reportedly on this communications platform. And it's not just, of course, the signals coordination. They also appear to have the ICE, anti-ICE insurrectionists also appear to have access to government surveillance tools. Look at this. If you want to know how protesters are able to locate and converge on ICE agents and suspected ICE agents almost immediately, it's probably because they're being fed automatic license plate readers, data by the local police department. I don't know if you have these things in your town. They're in my town. It seems like every few blocks, there's a black post, a little solar display, and a camera. And what it's doing is it's continually scanning every car's license plate that goes by, reports it into a giant computer system where tags can be flagged and then there are locations immediately identified from these cameras. And of course, these are not the only cameras that an urban center police department would have. There'd be more traditional surveillance cameras mounted around the city, traffic cameras, all that kind of stuff. The Twin Cities, he writes, has over 300 of these license plate scanner cameras and uses AI technology made by a company called Flock Safety. I'm familiar with Flock, to monitor, track, and enforce traffic laws. This is an incredibly powerful system. It's an announcement of the new business network. In June, Flock bragged about the ability for businesses to subscribe to hot lists, which alerts subscribers to the location of select cars that pass any Flock license plate reader, regardless of who's operating the camera. Real-time monitoring of select cars. Well, it would be very helpful, wouldn't it? For the anti-ICE insurrectionists to have access to this. It would explain why they're so rapidly able to converge on rental cars, ICE vehicles, how coordinated they are. And this overlays with the Signal Group. Apparently, they've illegally captured 5,000 plates being discussed in the Signal Group. And some of these administrators of this group, like we already talked about, Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan, are connected directly to Tim Walz. Plate after plate after plate. Breaking, it's confirmed, Minneapolis activists tracking ICE officers, running plates, actively following them around the city. This isn't a protest. It's an organized resistance with Democrat officials connected to it. Homes should be raided. Arrests should happen. You smell the insurrection in the air? It smells like burning wood and gunpowder. More consciousness of guilt evidence. Insurrectionists fleeing the state and the country. A tipster messaged some of the people in one of the Minnesota insurrectionist signal chats. The user indicated she intends to flee the state because we're in so much trouble, and maybe even flee the country. And again, it's not just individuals exercising their First Amendment rights here. It's these violent anti-ICE insurrectionists. It's people in government. It's not only people in government. It's people looking to be in government. Look at this. Attorney General Keith Ellison. This is the guy who railroaded Derek Chauvin in the George Floyd prosecution. Quite the piece of work, this dude. Also appears to have been coordinating with the Somalians in their fraud efforts, promising them that he would make sure he kept the money flowing. The spice must flow. Hey, Keith Ellison. More Minnesota officials. Amanda Kohler, I already mentioned. We have Tim Poole notes, if the local government's in active rebellion against the federal government, it's Civil War-esque, isn't it? Reminiscent of Fort Sumter? Who do we have in the signal chats? Government officials, anarchists, Antifa, gang members, and journalists. Journalists. Look at this. Ben Hovland, photojournalist at Minneapolis Public Radio. And as soon as his name was exposed, what does he do? He locks down his X account. More consciousness of guilt evidence that can be introduced into court to allow the jury to infer that these people know they're guilty. That's why they're doing all this. And it's not just people already in government. This is one of the strengths of the left. They're so psychotically passionate about forcing others to bend the knee. They're so fascist. And it's a problem for the right. It really is. Because the truth is, victory will always go to the side that's determined to win over the side that just wants to be left alone. And the right largely just wants to be left alone. These people don't. These people want to put a boot on your neck and do it with judgmental justice. They're running for office. Minnesota State Senate candidate Anita Smithson caught in the anti-ICE signal group chat. She's running for office, and she'll probably win. That's why things are so insane. And of course, part of this is they have to get the federal government out of Minnesota. They're all going to go to prison over this fraud. Trump just posted, Minnesota is a criminal cover-up of the massive financial fraud that's going on. Now it's not just the illegals that are at risk of being put in a cage until they're deported. It seems like it's everybody in a position of authority anywhere in the state of Minnesota. It's amazing. Even Alex Prete, Libs of TikTok, is reporting that Alex Prete was participating in these signal chats. Again, that would make perfect sense given the activities in which he was engaged. Leftist groups, their CryptPad, I guess it's an encrypted document, reveals illegal and subversive plots, disrupt Border Patrol checkpoints and ICE raids, of course, disrupt E-Verify program. That's how you determine an employer would be to determine if someone's an illegal. Undermine military recruitment efforts, engage in subversion inside the Trump administration, subverse, especially the Department of Justice, subversive government and military insider leaks, disrupt U.S. weapons manufacturers. Yeah, Mark Kelly's not the only progressive fascist who's served in the military. They've got their share. Disrupt U.S. weapons manufacturers, block development of military or fossil fuel infrastructure, impede military tech development, disrupt government officials' travel, subversive social media posts, hacking, flooding systems. Just imagine if a foreign nation sent in troops to do all this. Wouldn't we call that an act of war?
There you hear it, ladies and gentlemen, so you can do your own due diligence. I'm just giving you another side of the coin. So this is, you got to be aware of what's really, really going on out there. And you got to ask yourself why. And if the federal government is, trying to get certain illegal immigrants and criminals out of the country, millions came through the border. Imagine if this was your house and the doors were kicked down and everybody ran in, ate your food, sleep in your bed, used your utilities and took your money, and you couldn't say nothing to them. How would you feel? Think about it. So millions of people ran in, stole money from the U.S. taxpayer, and also committed heinous crimes and just decimated all our systems. What do you think happened? So think about it. The one thing is for sure, that the federal government is actively monitoring how you address this situation. There's a legal way to do it and there's a wrong way to do it. So you choose which way you want to do it, because one thing is for sure, if you don't have loyalty to the United States, guess what? You can answer that for yourself. So in the meantime, let's play a song for that. These are serious times. So let's go to Kane Walker, and with his new song here we go.
Boopsie's homecoming.
Okay, Boopsie. Me work for him or walk back your money?
You know, no visa.
Which is why I have an appointment at the U.S. Embassy.
You want me to jump?
I don't run tired with the ladies and nights. If you're with me once, you stay in the fight. I've learned hard time. I don't keep folks.
Here we go.
The line. If they switch once, they'll switch twice. I've met men built on borrowed pride. One hard truth and they leave your side. I don't run tired with them ladies and nights. If you're with me.
Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This is Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show.
Who's down
built to last. When the hell break loose, that's when you know.
Goodness gracious.
And who's quick to go? Stand strong with me. That's loyalty. But break that bond, and you're dead to me.
Goodness gracious me. I'm telling you. Check that out. Welcome back to the show. This is Nara Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show. We're going to go into some U.S. immigration. And you've been hearing about the executive order 14160. It is real. I'm going to read that for you right now. And so you can understand what's going on with this executive order. So let's move that on the screen right now. Here we go. So let's read that for you, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on with the executive order 14160? This is protecting the meaning and value of the American citizen and citizenship. On January 20th, 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to protect the meaning and value of American citizenship. Currently, the federal government is enjoined, that means they're instructed from enforcing the executive order. However, Section 3B of the president's order directs the heads of agencies to issue guidance to implement it, and the Supreme Court has allowed that part of the order to take effect. So there's a note here. These changes in U.S. passport procedures requirements to comply with the executive order are not in effect at this time. The following is the Department of State's implementation plan once we are allowed to comply with the executive order. This implementation plan, consistent with the President's direction, provides such guidance. So the Department of State implementation plan is under the Executive Order 14160. Children of mothers whose presence in the United States is unlawful or lawful but temporary will not acquire U.S. citizenship unless the father is a lawful permanent resident or U.S. citizen or U.S. national at the time of the child's birth. The passport application process includes both acceptance and adjudication. That's extremely important. Passport acceptance agents and passport agencies staff will request original proof of parental citizenship or immigration status to determine the citizenship status of the applicant. This information will be necessary to determine if those applying for a passport are U.S. citizens. The passport application process consists primarily of two main stages: acceptance and adjudication. The acceptance process ensures that, to the extent possible, the Department of State receives all the information and documentation needed to determine the U.S. citizenship of the applicant. The category of acceptable parental status provided by USCIS. Here it is. Individuals born to a mother who has one of the following statutes acquire U.S. citizenship at birth in the United States under Executive Order 14160. A, U.S. citizens and nationals. B, Native Americans born in Canada who enter the United States under INA 289. Asylees, conditional permanent residents, lawful permanent residents, and refugees. So if the mother does not hold a qualifying status at the time of the child's birth, the father must be a U.S. citizen, U.S. national, or legal permanent resident for the child to acquire citizenship under the 14th Amendment. That's extremely serious. The Department of State's proposed acceptance guidance for its passport acceptance agents and passport agency staff is as follows. The acceptance agent or passport agent must request that the applicant, applying parent, legal guardian, complete the parental information on the Form DS-11 for individuals born in the United States on or after the effective date in its entirety, as reflected on the accompanying birth certificate or similar document. If the parental information provided on this DS-11 indicates that the parent is a U.S. citizen or national, the parent will show the original and provide a photocopy of the proof of citizenship to the acceptance agent or passport agent. If the parental information provided on the DS-11 indicates that the parent is not a U.S. citizen or national but has parental status that resulted in the applicant acquiring citizenship, such as the father being a legal permanent resident or the mother holding one of the qualifying statuses, the parent will show the original and provide a photocopy of the proof of status to the acceptance agent or passport agent. Adjudicative decisions are not made during the acceptance process. The role of the acceptance agent or passport agent is to ensure, to the extent possible, that a complete application with all required information and documentation is received. And that ends where this executive order detail. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is big. It's a big deal. So, you know, something comes to mind like DNA. A lot of children are born, parents mothers. That's a big deal going on. So, in my mind, I say DNA may be a factor to determine who the fathers are. If they're U.S. citizens, there may be DNA to find out if, the fathers are really the fathers. So that's a big deal. That's if the mothers are not subject to the jurisdiction of the United States under the 14th Amendment. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard, we're going to check on a Newsweek article as well, which talks about the reduction in green cards. There's going to be a reduction in green cards as stated here. So let's look at it and listen to what they have to say here about the reduction of green cards. So that's coming up this year, I do believe. And let's hear what is going on there, because this is extremely important. So let's jump in. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
The U.S. State Department is suspending visa processing from 75 countries, including Russia, Brazil, and Iran. The pause is indefinite and will begin January 21st. Other countries on the list include Thailand, Somalia, and Nigeria. This decision comes as they evaluate public charge rules, meaning until they figure out a way to, quote, deem ineligible potential immigrants who would become a public charge on the United States. This decision also comes as concerns mount over abuse of taxpayer benefits following widespread backlash, mostly from Republicans, over the welfare fraud scandal in Minnesota involving Somali immigrants. Yesterday, ICE posted on X, quote, TPS for Somalis has ended. Leave the U.S. on your own terms between now and March 17th or receive a visit from ICE. The choice is yours. Just a few weeks ago, Secretary of State Marco Rubio had this to say regarding visa revocations.
The law gives us the right, and in fact, I would argue the obligation to remove people like that from our country. And we're going to continue to do it. I mean, it's as simple as that. I mean, sometimes somebody comes in and says, oh, I want to come in as a student, they're here as a student, and then once they're here, they're involved in nefarious activity, we're going to remove them.
Keep in mind that the department recently celebrated revoking 100,000 visas, including 8,000 student visas and 2,500 specialized visas from people who the U.S. says had encounters with law enforcement over criminal activity. The White House said today that 2025 was the first net negative migration in the U.S. in over 50 years. Reporting for Newsweek from Washington, I'm Leonardo Feldman.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as you heard it, there's going to be a reduction, a serious reduction of visas over this coming year, and that's going to be significant. So, let's and I'm going to go into phase 2. I have a few more videos in phase 1 here on U.S. immigration. Then I'm going to flip the script. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's look at what's going on in U.S. immigration. If you remember that Tom Homan is the border czar, right? And Tom Homan has been at his job for many, many years. And some of us forget that he was also on the presidents and doing the same thing. He was, if you remember, let me bring this to you to the stage, and you can be the judge of it. So let's look at this video. Check this out. A lot of people are complaining, but I like to show you the other side of the coin. So here we go. So let's check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
This is a perfect example of the abundant hypocrisy of the left.
This is a Washington Post headline from 9 years ago, 2016. Meet the man the White House has honored for deporting illegal immigrants. And I would remind everyone in this room that it was former President Barack Hussein Obama who awarded a medal to Mr. Homan.
This is a perfect...
So what do you think about that? Goodness gracious me. So, there's a lot of blame going around because President Trump is doing that. Remember, almost, was it 5 million? Or I'm not too sure. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. How many people did he deport under the Obama administration and nobody said nothing? Check out this other video. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. Here we go. Let me make sure I got the right video up, and I gotta get that lined up. Hold on a second. Let's debunk this. And okay, here we go. Black people debunk liberal ICE views. So let's bring that to the stage here. And you be the judge of it. Listen to this carefully. I'm going to play a few minutes of it. And here we go. Let's bring that to the stage.
Let's keep telling Black Americans what we're supposed to believe. But today, that script, it got ripped up by Black Americans themselves, might I add. Same policy, same numbers. Suddenly, the outrage depends on who's president, though. We should watch how fast the narrative collapses, because once you see it, you won't argue anymore. You just notice it.
You faced a lot of racism growing up in Columbus, Ohio. How did that shape you?
Whew. Well, the military wouldn't allow Black families to live on the base, so you had to live in an apartment, and you couldn't take a bus. You couldn't afford a car. You walked. Your dads walked to the base, and sometimes we would go from tree shade to get back to the apartment. My brother and I, my mom, with bags, and my mom would go, "Don't look, don't look, don't look," and she'd pull us away. Wow. Ding, 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 because there is someone hanging from a tree. And they have a memorial for it now where you can see where people were and left. And it triggers me today to see that a voice can be silenced. And if a white family supported a Black, they're going to get burned down or killed or lynched as well.
Yeah.
Yo, Bigfoot here. If you're
So
a
let's get this off,
and have an
off
electric
the,
bill over $100,
off the
you can go
screen.
solar
Here
for
we go. Back to regular program.
So this is Pam Grier on The View, and she recounts her childhood lynching claim on The View. If you want to go anywhere else with that claim, that's where you should go. Now, I want you to notice the silence, right? No follow-up, no timeline check, No, hold on. What year is that again? Because on the left, emotion outranks accuracy. If it feels right, it just becomes right. That's how it works for them. But facts don't bend for feelings. Pam Grier was born in what, 1949? The last confirmed lynching in Ohio was 1911. I'm not saying nothing has happened since then. I'm just going off of the data. That's not politics. That's arithmetic. And when arithmetic ruins the story, the left doesn't correct it. They shame you for noticing it. That's not empathy. That's narrative control. And once you catch them stretching time, you start seeing how they stretch truth everywhere. Y'all, look at this.
Obama's ICE chief gets an award for 920,000 removals. Trump's ICE chief is called a Nazi. Same guy, Tom Homan, was in charge of it for Obama. Obama deported in 2012 409,000 people. Trump in 2025, 290. Wow. You got to do the math. It's so frustrating because, like you said, they've taken such an anti-Trump administration position that no matter what he does, even if it is in the name of good intentions, the problem is Minnesota is a sanctuary state. So because they're a sanctuary state, they do not cooperate with ICE. They can arrest somebody for a violent crime, have them in jail, and they release them on the street. And so ICE is forced to go get these people in the streets. Obama's ICE chief gets an award
So there you go.
920,000.
This is where it gets uncomfortable. Same man, same job, same enforcement. But under Obama, he gets awards and praises and applause, medals. Under Trump, Nazi, fascist, threat. So you got to ask yourself, if enforcement was immoral, why was it celebrated? Because the outrage isn't about ICE. It's about who's allowed to enforce the law, right? Let me get back in focus. And when those good old emotions start working, the left avoids one thing at all costs: numbers.
It's wild how short people's memories are. Under Obama administration, 56 people died under ICE custody. 56. That's not a conspiracy. That's public record. According to the ACLU, under Obama, under ICE, failures of medical care, ICE malpractice. The list is long as to why and how these deaths occurred. And somehow, no mass riots. Obama deported over 3 million people. Let's not forget that, people. I say that in so many of my videos. Millions. And a lot of them were fast removals. No real hearing, no judge, no full due process. And here's the part liberals don't like to bring up. Tom Homan? Yeah, that Tom Homan, he was running enforcement under Obama. And during that time, he was given an award back in 2015 for his work with ICE. Even Democratic states allowed ICE to do their job under Obama. Here's my thing. If you're going to be mad, be consistently mad. Liberals were not mad when ICE was doing their job. All 8 years with Obama, they weren't mad in the streets. Now, I'm not saying that deaths don't matter. They always do. I'm saying the outrage only appears when it's politically convenient, AKA selective outrage.
Come on now. 56 deaths under Obama. No riots, no national panic, no left-wing media hysteria, right? Now, suddenly, enforcement is immoral. It's a moral emergency. That's what it is. Now, suddenly, enforcement is a moral emergency. That's what we're going to say instead of saying immoral, right? Here's the truth that they don't want you to say out loud, right? Outrage is selective, as she put it. It's not driven by outcomes.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we lost connection here. We lost our connection. The internet went down, so there's a big freeze going on outside there, leading into the weekend. So there's a big storm coming. I think we're going to be pummeled with a lot more snow this weekend, but the temperatures are dropped significantly. So I wanted to get back to that video so we can, as I said, you got to look at both sides of the coin here. You to make an informed decision, you've got to do your research. And this is why I'm bringing you the other side of the coin, so you can understand that the media, in most cases, a lot of the media is biased to one side. They're not showing you both sides. So when someone like myself or some of my colleagues, we take the time out to do our research to see what's right, what happened on this side, what happened on that side, and let's see what the facts are, and we bring that to you. Some people get angry, you know what I mean? So I gotta, what's this? Let's see what this person said. Okay, so welcome to the show. We got a break in transmission, so let's jump into some other stuff with Attorney Mac being here. She's talking about the ICE memo. You remember that one? The ICE memo that leaked. They said it leaked. Let's check that out and see what's going on. Let me see if this video will actually come up. Let's check this out, and hopefully we'll get it going. So here we go. Yeah, it's loaded.
As you probably also heard in the news, that there's an ICE memo that advises agents to be able to use their own administrative warrants to break down the doors and go in, take whoever they choose to take, despite the fact that they do not have a judicial warrant. This came out last week after 2 federal officials blew the whistle, provided the information to a senator. That information was then verified and shared broadly. And so essentially what this memo says, the Constitution, the INA, the Immigration and Nationality Act, and immigration regulations do not prohibit ICE from relying on their own administrative warrants to enter a person's home without a judicial warrant. That alone should have everyone deeply concerned. It's basically saying to the agent, you could set aside the Constitution, you could set aside the INA, you could set aside our norms, the way that we operate as a society, set all of that aside, and we could just rely on our own administrative warrant, break down the door and go in. And that's completely false. So this came out very shocking. Policymakers are discussing this, and apparently this new directive has reportedly been used to train new ICE officers and was applied in at least one Minneapolis raid where agents broke into a home with rifles drawn using only an administrative warrant. And just a reminder, the laws say that you must have a judicial warrant to enter into someone's home unless there's some sort of exigent circumstance, like there's a hot pursuit. Let's say law enforcement is chasing a potential drug dealer or a serious criminal, and that person runs inside a home. Well, they could go in and grab that person. That's important. That's an emergency, but not if someone is in their home and nothing exigent is happening that would cause a federal agent or any police to break down the door and go in. You guys know how things operate here in America. This is not America.
So you heard it from Attorney McBean. There is a process they have to follow. ICE has to follow. And I'm sure that one thing is for sure. Do not fight this in the court of public opinion. If something happens and it's against the law, take it to the court. Get an attorney. You get what I'm saying? So if you're in a situation, immigration situation, seek an immigration attorney and or seek an immigration specialist. but do your be smart about it. You get what I'm saying? So let's go back to Attorney McBean regarding let's see, U.S. citizens cannot take their spouses to cannot bring their spouses to the United States from overseas. That has to do with the pause that went on with the state, the United States pausing immigrant visas from 75 countries. These 75 countries she's going to be talking about. Here we go. Let's check this out. Attorney McBean, here we go.
Bring their spouse to the United States if the spouse is from one of these 75 countries. I'm Latoya McBean Pompey, an immigration lawyer in New York. You might have already heard the devastating news that the administration has decided to pause the immigrant visa processing for your spouse. And you're probably scrambling and devastated, obviously thinking about the fact that you've done all of the right things, you've paid all of the fees, you filled out all of those paperwork. You are probably just waiting now for an embassy interview date. Firstly, do not panic, okay? I know this is devastating, but do not panic. Number two, it's indefinite because the government has given some strange rationale for this pause, which will be challenged, guys. It will be challenged. And the rationale that they've provided is the fact that they would like to ensure that your spouse will not be a burden to the U.S. taxpayers. Your spouse will not come to the United States and benefit from our welfare system. But there's already a protocol and system and process in place to evaluate whether your spouse will in fact become a public charge, which is what it's called. You as the sponsor, you are the one who has said, I will be on the hook for my wife or my husband. I am going to be financially responsible for him or her. I'd meet the income requirements for that. So why should the government now pause the processing of your spouse's case on the basis of public charge? It makes 0 cents. So this will be challenged. If your spouse is a dual citizen and he or she applies for the visa under the nationality of a country that's not on this ban list, he or she will be able to get the visa. If your spouse has a tourist visa and periodically visits the United States to see you or for vacation, well, on the next trip or on any future trips, if that person changes his or her mind and decides to stay with you because family unity is key, your spouse will be free to change his or her mind at that point and just change the case to an adjustment of status process. U.S. citizens will.
So you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. So you can't bring your spouse right now from these 75 countries because they've paused all the visas. But if, as you heard from Attorney McBean, there are other ways you can go about this, but you need to speak to an immigration attorney, an immigration specialist. So, find a good immigration attorney or any immigration specialist, and they can help you. You know what I mean? So things are paused indefinitely, but it's not paused forever and ever, or it's not done. They're not done away with immigrant visas because whatever they're doing, they'll get that done in some time. Well, we don't know when. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show. We're going to go into phase 2. So we're going to take a short musical break and get back to you in our second segment. So we're going to pull on Kane Walker to give you that musical break. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Check this out.
Been broke, been burned, been left for dead. Still see things clearly in my head. I don't chase what ain't worth my time. I stay in my lane and walk that line. They talk tough, but I don't mind. I have everything that's meant to be mine.
Goodness gracious.
Don't need your say. I'll do it all my damn way. I've been down roads that took their toll. Lost some friends and found my soul. I've been broke but kept my pride. Had my faith when understand. A great fella taught me how to be a man. It ain't my problem if you don't like me. I'm still a man that I'm proud to be.
Goodness gracious me. Welcome back to Naram Promotions, the Real Deal podcast show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm telling you, it's a beautiful thing. So, we're in phase 2 right now with part 2 of the show. And we want to say thank you for sticking with us. We had a little break there because the internet went down, but we're back up and running, and we're going to continue with the show. There's a cold front coming to Jamaica. Big deal. So we want to touch on that briefly. And, so those of you in Jamaica or traveling to Jamaica, you may need to take some jackets. Imagine that, take jackets to Jamaica. That doesn't sound right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's check that out. We're going to bring that to, here we go. So let's bring that to the screen so you can understand what went on. And there was also a small earthquake in Jamaica. So let's check it out, hear what he has to say.
It's Thursday, January 29th, 2026. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Cold weather moving down. A bigger chance of rain in different areas and an earthquake update. This one, not a big earthquake, about 3.2 in magnitude in Jamaica. This was yesterday morning, so very early Wednesday morning. They had woken you up because it was so shallow. The depth just 10 kilometers down or 6 miles down. So even though it wasn't a super strong one, the depth really matters if we feel it. And it did fall into that shallow range. Again, it wasn't deep at all. It's right along the surface. And that's why many of us did feel it. With that said, this was along a transform plate boundary. So those are ones kind of sliding past each other, not necessarily colliding. Usually the ones that really collide, it lend itself to even bigger quakes. Transform plate boundaries can have bigger quakes, but not as often as those convergent plate boundaries. Know that I'm watching the earthquake activity across Jamaica and across the Caribbean. If you're subscribed, if there's a big earthquake or anything like that, if you're subscribed, I'll put out those additional updates and you'll get those alerts first. All right, we're tracking the cold weather. That is going to be moving down. Cold, a relative term we know. We also know it's not going to get to all of us, keeping it in perspective. But this is a bigger front. This will probably be our biggest front of the season. We'll see how the rest of winter shakes out. But look what happens with the winds as we work our way into the weekend. Shooting down into the out of the north, that system near Bermuda on the southeast coast of the U.S. I'll show you that in a second. That develops this weekend, but that cold air plunge moves all the way down. Not as much for us in the Eastern Caribbean. Our winds are staying out of the east, but a northerly flow even down through the Dominican Republic and Haiti, Jamaica, Cuba, the Bahamas, cold in Florida. We'll cover that. Back through the Yucatan Peninsula, Mexico, Belize, Honduras, Nicaragua, Costa Rica, Panama. It is going to be chilly. We'll have a couple chilly nights as well. Parts of the Cayman Islands, we're going to feel that temperature change, especially Sunday into Monday. I updated a few of these. Now, this is Sunday morning. Miami, for example, will be around 40 Fahrenheit or 4 degrees Celsius. Saturday morning, though, the front's already into Miami and the Keys. So Saturday morning may be in the upper 30s Fahrenheit, back through parts of South Florida. We could dip down into about the 9-degree range Celsius, back through the northern Bahamas, upper 40s, low 50s Fahrenheit. Watching that for both Saturday and Sunday morning. We get over toward Merida, Yucatan Peninsula will be down to about 11 degrees Celsius. Interior, kind of the higher terrain, we know where we have those cooler spots in Jamaica. We're going to be down to about 14 degrees as we work our way into Sunday morning. So again, not a massive chill for a lot of us, but it'll be noticeable. And you could see that temperature change over the next 7 days, at least kind of the differences where we're seeing these blues and the greens. That's where it's going to be colder than average. Right through here, Jamaica, Haiti, the DR, clipping by Puerto Rico, north through the Turks and Caicos, Bahamas, back through the Cayman Islands and across Central America. And that northerly flow gets all the way down to parts of Colombia.
And I'm telling you, it's gonna be a chill, a chilled weekend for Jamaica. So you check that out for yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. That is a big deal. So get ready, bundle up, get your blankets, and get ready. Jamaica, you're gonna have a wind chill, cold front. It's always paradise. it's not going to be that bad, but it will be noticeable. So, ladies and gentlemen, Prime Minister Andrew Holness also was in Panama with Mayor Matsalon. If you know that name, Matsalon, if you're from Jamaica, you'll understand the significance of that name. So he was there with Mayor Matsalon, and they were, talking a few things while they were there. So it's amazing how things pan out. But with the global elites and banks and so on now converging to make decisions for the new year, for the coming year and beyond, this year and the coming year and beyond, there is a lot of things that you should realize that you should pay attention to. All right, so let's check out Prime Minister Andrew Holness with Mayor Matsalon in Panama. This is a big deal, so check this out. He was having a little talk with him, so here we go.
I would spend summers in Jamaica, and I still hold Jamaica dear to my heart. I was there to support the hurricane relief efforts. We led the national efforts from City Hall here in Panama.
So let's kind of bring that.
I prayed for everyone in Jamaica. I still do, because I know that we're still going through a lot of fixing up and recovering, and it's not going to be easy, but don't lose faith. Jamaica has gone through a lot of hardship, but what distinguishes Jamaican people is its resilience. I look forward to visiting Jamaica again, hopefully in an official capacity, to see what things we can do to strengthen the bonds and the commercial interest between Panama and Jamaica, so that both countries can shine and grow together.
Now, tell us just a little bit of your history in Jamaica. You spent summers in Jamaica, but your family is very prominent in Jamaica.
So my grandfather, Mayor Matsalon, he was a builder, he was a constructor, and he was also in banking and insurance. And I was very fond of him. I was his biggest fan from when I was a child. And he would take me into meetings in his office in 9 Harbor Street. He always told me not to get into politics. Then again, he was always very involved as a patriot in politics from the outside, supporting, aiding, and looking for ways for Jamaica to stand up, get up, and grow in the 70s and 80s mainly. Just know Jamaica, that you're properly represented, at least here in Panama. People love Jamaican culture. Jamaican culture in Panama is big. They love the music, they love the food. In fact, our carnival now in February is going to be Jamaica themed. And so I'm very excited about that.
Listen, the Jamaican diaspora is huge, very deep. Of course, Jamaica's relationship with Panama is strengthened by the people-to-people bonds. And they started from as early as the 1800s with the building of the railroad here, which preceded a canal, and then the building of the canal. And then there was another set of movements in the 80s with the ICIs, the informal commercial importers. And now there is another growing wave of Jamaicans coming to Panama for various commercial and business enterprises. So there is a very strong people-to-people link, which gives the opportunity for great commerce and trade between our two countries.
So you heard it, ladies and gentlemen. It's a beautiful thing. And talking about that, there's, this is a good time to segue into countries that Jamaica can go visa-free. Panama is one of them. And I touched on that on a previous podcast, but I'm going to give you 9, which include the 7 that I had shown you. But this has a couple more that you can travel to, and from Jamaica, given that there's the immigrant visas have been paused, and Jamaica is one of the countries that it has been paused from. There's difficulties with a lot of people trying to get visas to come to the United States. But there are other countries you can visit in the meantime, and it's good to know where these countries are. And these are some major countries. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
9 countries where Jamaicans can travel freely in 2026 without the stress, expense, or uncertainty of visa applications. And the country sitting at number 1 offers something that most Jamaicans have never even considered. A benefit so generous that it changes everything about how we think about travel. Globally, the Jamaican passport holds the 54th position according to the Henley Passport Index, which translates to visa-free or visa-on-arrival access to 89 countries and territories. Now, that ranking doesn't make us the strongest in the Caribbean, because Barbados grants access to 165 destinations. The Bahamas opens 158 doors, St. Kitts and Nevis unlocks 157, and Trinidad and Tobago provides entry to 151. But here's the thing, 89 countries represent significant opportunity, and the vast majority of Jamaicans aren't taking advantage of what already belongs to them. What makes this conversation urgent is the sheer size of our diaspora. Somewhere between 1.2 and 3 million Jamaicans currently reside abroad, which means roughly 29 to 36% of all Jamaicans don't actually live in Jamaica.
So if you have 50K or more in digital assets, do not buy Bitcoin. Is that what you're saying?
So let's get this off the screen. Here we go. Let's
The
continue.
United Kingdom alone hosts between 400,000 and 800,000 of us, making it the largest concentration outside our island. America contains between 780,000 and 1.1 million, with over 300,000 packed into the New York metropolitan area, and another 246,000 scattered across Florida. Canada welcomed more than 300,000, and the Toronto area specifically houses over 200,000 Jamaicans, representing 3.4% of the greater Toronto area's population. Brampton counts more than 95,000 Jamaican residents within its borders. Even the Cayman Islands runs 27% Jamaican by heritage. Our people have spread across the globe, and yet so many remain unaware of where else they can travel without restriction. That changes today. We're counting down from number 9 to number 1, covering destinations genuinely welcome Jamaicans, no visa required. The best has been saved for last, and what awaits at number 1 will genuinely surprise you. Number 9. Malaysia, Southeast Asia rarely appears on Caribbean travel radar, but Malaysia deserves serious consideration for Jamaicans seeking visa-free adventure. This country grants entry without prior application, which means booking your flight and showing up with the right documents gets you through the door. Passport requirements demand at least 6 months validity, remaining on your Jamaican travel document. Immigration officers may request proof of sufficient funds, alongside a return or onward ticket. So having these ready smooths the process considerably. One development from January 2024 changed the entry procedure, and that's the Malaysia Digital Arrival Card, known as the MDAC. Completing this form online within 3 days of arrival became mandatory, and skipping this step creates unnecessary complications at the border. What awaits inside Malaysia spans incredible diversity. Kuala Lumpur's modern skyline features the iconic Petronas Towers, while pristine beaches stretch across islands like Langkawi. Ancient rainforests cover vast territories. Cultural heritage sites dot the landscape, and street food rivals anything you'll find anywhere in the world. Living costs remain reasonable. English flows freely in most areas, and the warmth of Malaysian hospitality matches anything Caribbean people know. Jamaicans hunting for Asian exploration without visa headaches should mark Malaysia as an excellent starting point. Number 8. Singapore, this tiny island nation, punches far above its weight on the global stage, and Jamaicans receive visa-free entry for up to 30 days. A full month opens enough time to experience one of the cleanest, safest, and most efficient cities humanity has ever constructed. Entry requirements stay straightforward but specific. Your Jamaican passport needs 6 months validity remaining and at least one blank page for the entry stamp. Immigration personnel may request proof of funds and a return ticket, and having these documents accessible prevents delays at the checkpoint. Singapore maintains strict standards that visitors must respect. Overstaying your 30-day allowance triggers fines, and serious violations result in entry bans that can last years. Fingerprinting and biometric data collection occur at both entry and departure, which represents standard procedure rather than anything concerning. Work and study fall completely outside what this visa-free access permits, so tourism remains the only legal activity. Gardens by the Bay showcases botanical engineering that defies imagination. Marina Bay Sands dominates the skyline with its impossible architecture. Sentosa Island delivers entertainment and beaches within minutes of the financial district. Hawker centers serve dishes that earned Michelin recognition while costing less than fast food back home. Public transportation operates with precision that makes other cities look primitive. What makes Singapore even more attractive is proximity to Malaysia, and combining both destinations into a single Southeast Asian journey multiplies the experience exponentially. If you're finding value in this information, now would be a perfect time to subscribe to the channel. We're pushing toward 20,000 subscribers, and your support helps us create more content like this. Drop a comment below telling us which destination surprised you the most so far, or share where you're planning to travel first. Number 7. Kenya. The African continent welcomes Jamaicans through Kenya with visa-free access lasting up to 90 days. 3 full months provide enough time to experience one of the most breathtaking nations on Earth. Documentation requirements include a valid Jamaican passport, proof of accommodation arrangements, and a return ticket showing your departure plans. Kenya implemented major changes throughout 2025 to boost regional tourism and strengthen continental unity, eliminating visa requirements for nearly all African countries.
So let's kind of fast forward that.
TikTok ads
So
change
we're kind of running out of time here.
everything for us.
So let's get back to regular programming. I've cut it a bit short because there's 9 countries, and some major countries are in here. I'll touch on this again on my next podcast, but we're coming close to the end of the show. So let's cut this to the end. Here we go.
Allowances, arriving with return tickets, hotel bookings, and clear itineraries demonstrates legitimate tourist intent and improves chances of receiving the full duration. Enforcement of the 180-day maximum remains strict, meaning overstays create serious problems. Work and study fall outside permitted activities, so longer-term plans require proper residency pathways. Population exceeds 130 million people, ranking Mexico 11th globally. Territory covers nearly 2 million square kilometers, placing it 13th among world nations. Scale and diversity becomes achievable. Remote work sustains income if you...
So I'm going to...
Singapore at number 8, Kenya at number 7, South Africa at number 6, Panama at number 5, Russia at number 4, Thailand at number 3, Brazil at number 2, and Mexico claiming the top position with its extraordinary 180.
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. So, a lot of you can't say you can't travel somewhere if you want to travel from Jamaica, and the United States is close to you right now. But guess what? You can still travel. It is still open to you. But, nobody can say this to you.
Patrick Brown's Boopsy's Homecoming.
Okay, Boopsy. Me a work foreign or work back your money?
You know no visa.
Which is why I have an appointment at the US Embassy.
You want me to drop you up there?
Me know why you drop me now. If the ambassador see me arrive from back, me not gonna get through.
You have an appointment up at the US Embassy. For the what?
We don't do about US Embassy, Larry. Tell Patty.
You? Have a better chance to get a pass to buy embassy than get a visa. Because how much time you apply for visa already? We can't hear you.
I said 17.
17? Better than 17 times them stamp decline in your book. And 16, get them one give you a blind. You having a clean page, definitely a passport for them stamp the visa on. 17?
If them have no party up at the US Embassy, bring 2 for me.
Opening Boxing Day.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that's just for fun, but let's continue into regular programming. So, there was a incident in Bath, St. Thomas, that's been swirling around the internet, and I was surprised that the people who put this up there did not say that whether or not if they contact.
Happened to me and my family today at Bath Fountain in St. Thomas, Jamaica. We went there expecting.
So, this allegation, they had to do a follow-up video to put this disclaimer up that it wasn't Bath Fountain in St. Thomas. But, what I was looking for them to say that they had contacted the police, there's an investigation going on surrounding the allegations that was met. Because, as I said, you got to make sure that whatever you're doing and putting out there, this hurts Jamaica. And I'm not saying this incident did not happen, but there's a way to go about it to make sure that the police are informed and there's an investigation into the matter so that it doesn't happen to others. But let's take a listen to this. Here we go.
To enjoy a natural mineral spring, something that's supposed to be relaxing and affordable. At first, some people approached us and offered a mud bath and hot mineral water experience. It seemed nice, so we agreed. But after everything was done, they told us the price was 35,000 Jamaican dollars per person. There were 6 of us. That came up to 210,000 Jamaican dollars. Then it got worse. They demanded an extra 10,000 Jamaican dollars just to take pictures with our own phones. And another 10,000 Jamaican dollars just to help my elderly uncle get down to the bath area. So in total, we ended up paying 230,000 Jamaican dollars. None of these prices were explained beforehand. We never agreed to anything like that. And when we questioned it and tried to leave, the people became aggressive and intimidating. We honestly feared for our safety, so we paid and left. Let me share something.
So this in itself is disturbing, and this was a follow-up video that they made.
Quick update regarding the Bath Fountain incident I shared yesterday. I want to make something very clear. The Bath Hotel is not involved in what happened to my family and me in any way. They are not associated with the individuals shown in the images or with the people who approached us. This was actually my first time visiting Bath Fountain, so I didn't know what to expect or how things were supposed to work. We were approached by hustlers outside of the hotel area who offered a mud bath and hot mineral water experience. After it was done, they demanded outrageous amounts of money. The information I shared yesterday was about those hustlers, not the Bath Hotel. In fact, I later learned that the Bath Hotel itself offers the experience professionally and legitimately. So I could not have accused the hotel of any deception because I didn't even know they provided the service at the time. The hotel is legit and professional. The issue is with people outside hustling and taking advantage of visitors. My advice to anyone... Hey, everyone.
So, it's unfortunate that they experienced this in Jamaica, at Bath, in St. Thomas, not the Bath Fountain, but it would have been better if they had reported the matter to the police. You know what I'm saying? So, and made it, announced it that they had made that report to the St. Thomas police so they could investigate it, because that's one side of the story. We don't know what really happened there, because that's that's an attraction there in Jamaica. And when you mention the establishment, and then you had to go back and retract and and retract your statement. And up to now, I've not heard about the police getting involved in the investigation of what happened to them, because it seems as if it was extortion based on what they're saying. And that's a lot of money, 230,000 Jamaican dollars. That's a lot of money for just a mud rub. You know what I mean? It's not in, a high-end facility, but at least the prices would have been there. So they're saying they were not told the prices. And I don't know if they asked about the price before they started the whole session and all that. We've not heard from the people who did it. The police was not involved. So, we've got to be careful, because this hurts that establishment in St. Thomas and the industry within that domain in Jamaica, and it hurts Jamaica in general. So we'd love to see an investigation into that, to hear all sides, to get a better understanding of what really happened. So that's something for the authorities to look at, because that's significant, because it's now it's globally known. So that's a big deal. So check it out. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to touch into some international events and some community events. Then we're going to give you a teaser and close the show. So we're 8 minutes away from closing the show. So let's start with an international event. And this is Wally out of New Jersey. Has his birthday celebration on February 20th in New Jersey. The venue will be announced. He's from East Orange, New Jersey, and Mama Rose grandchild. So big up to the Big Yard Crew family, Mama Rose and the crew, Mikey and all the crew, and Texie and all the family, Josephine and all the family down there in East Orange, New Jersey. Big up yourself. So also there's going to be a big Reggae Land Fest, a Reggae Fest on the 1st and 2nd of August in the UK. And this is in Milton Keynes. It's going to be a big deal. Vibes Cartel heads that list. Shensia, Shaggy, Beanie Man, and Morgan Heritage, Taurus Riley, Barrington Levy, Conscience, Mr. Vegas, Supercat, Sanchez, Cranium, Inner Circle, Richie Spice, Rani, Ken Booth, Sham, T.O.K., Ding Dong, Albarosi, Charlie Black, Third World, Jesse Royal, Janine and David Rodigan, Styler G, Samorii and Millie Cook. A lot more people are gonna be there. It's a big deal. It's a 2-day event in England, right in the heart of summer in England, in Milton Keynes, in the Midlands there of England, and it's gonna be a big deal. So check that out if you're in Europe, or if you want to go there, start booking now. So, ladies and gentlemen, also Virgo Bash will be on the 29th of August. It happens every year. It's an annual event, and this will be hosted by Princess Britannia. Andrew British, this is his big deal. It's called British Click Kingston 13 Promotion presents Virgo Bash. So this is the T-shirt and netball skirt edition. So it's the shots up there, and you can see the J. Ray and nephew clocking in. Also, we have community events here. That Bolo passed away from Alligator Pond District in Manchester. A good friend of mine, he's like family. His setup is going to be February 13th at his residence in Alligator Pond. The funeral will be on the 15th of February, and that's at the Alligator Pond Seventh-day Adventist Church. He's a prominent guy in the community. He passed away. We say condolences to the family. If you're there, give the family your support. If you remember, we did interview Bolo on the show. He was at Misha's residence there. That's back in sometime last year. Was it last year or earlier this year? I'm not too sure. I just got to look back on that, but it was a big deal. We're gonna show a little clip on that. So let's go with that right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Let's check this out. Let's bring that to the stage. Let's add that to stage. Let's remove this from the stage and then add this one. Here we go. Let's add it to the stage. And here we go. This was back this is August 3rd, 2025, last year. So that this was a big deal. So let's check out a part of this.
Naram Promotions is at you.
There you go. So let's check it out.
Ruly Rave, the 7th edition. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to try Misha back on the line. I know it's busy down there. I heard it's a bumper to bumper.
So let's kind of fast forward that
on earlier, and she was super busy. The phones were busy with the music.
So let's see
if they post any pictures. Then
so here we go.
All right,
let's try to get to the interview with them. That was at Misha's on that time. Let's see. Let's get to it. Here we go. Yeah, there it is.
A lot of girls, just a lot of girls right now.
Let's see if we
Yeah,
can.
man, we have some people gone, so they're not be able to come back.
all right. So yeah, the
Man,
early
when
program.
we come a while ago, we could have
Lovely.
where the crowd is looking to block up a lot of bikes and buses and cars and stuff.
Okay, so we got a lot of people there early. So
The bar busy, man, the front bar and the bar at the back, everything is busy right now.
Yeah. So that was last year. So let's stop that. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so that was last year, August. It is sadly missed, ladies and gentlemen, and it's a big deal. So also visit the Mystic Inn when you're in South Central Jamaica, and also Top Rock in Prospect District, Bowles Fish Stop in Downs, Manchester, and also Misha's Right Spot. That's where Bola was last year when that video I showed you. She was having her celebration, and also you can go to Crazy Mondays. Crazy Mondays is always happening every week. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you a teaser. This teaser is coming up. Here we go. Here we go. Let me give you this teaser for the next show. This is going to be a big deal. We're going to be talking about women. We didn't get a chance to get to it right now, but we're going to share this with you. And this is a teaser for the next show. So let's dive into that. Hold on a second, guys. I'm trying to get to it here, and I think I missed it. So here we go. There we go. So let's look at this teaser, and then we're going to close the show right after. So here we go. Check this out.
I had a man today ask me if I was ready for a serious relationship. So to answer that, my aunt suggested this. To start to say, yeah, I'm serious. I'm serious for somebody to take care of my mortgage. I'm serious for someone to take me on vacation. I'm serious about meeting someone that wants to pay a car note and my insurance, that wants to pay my phone bill, my electricity, my internet, that wants to pay for me to.
So that's a teaser. So we're going to be talking about that. So we say, ladies and gentlemen, always pray going out, pray coming in. And always remember, God is in control. Thank you for being a part of the show. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, click the notification bell. This is Naram Promotions, the Real Deal Podcast Show. We'll see you at the next show. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here. And we will be back. So thank you. Here we go.
Naram Promotions is at you.